Hi, it's Chris. I'm so glad you're here. Today, let's talk politics, but specifically, let's talk how to handle the upcoming holiday conversations with family members that we disagree with. It's a part of our life that we've been living, especially over the last 10 years, that have been getting harder and harder to navigate. I get it. I'm a Democrat who's run for office in a family that has more than a fair share of Republicans. These conversations can be some of the most tricky that you'll navigate from a political perspective because you're going to see these folks again. You love them. You invested so much time into them. They invested so much time into you. How do we navigate these difficult conversations that are all coming up for us in a way that's productive? First, let's consider 3 basic approaches. The first and foremost we have to talk about is it's okay to not talk about politics over the holidays. Mel Robbins has this great book and this incredibly big theory, and her podcast is amazing. Please go check it out. And it's basically boils down to this. Let them, and then let me. What does this mean for our political conversations over the holidays? Simple. If you don't feel like engaging and someone else tries to get you into a political conversation, let them talk about whatever they want to talk about. Then you have to decide what you're going to let me. Do you want to stay in that room? You could walk away. You can tell them, hey, I don't want to talk about politics right now. It's okay. We don't have to be talking about politics 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, especially when it's around the holidays, especially when we're with our family. It's okay to not engage. Second, if you do choose to engage, how do we engage? How do we have these conversations in a way that we all feel like could lead to somewhere good? It's hard. It all feels like we're navigating on a separate set of facts. And it's hard to call people out that you really care about. It's a lot easier online. It's a lot easier when you're in front of a room full of strangers that you may never see again. So here are my 3 pro tips for how to engage. And it really boils down to questions. You see, what we see modeled for us on TV and in town halls and all these other political conversations is basically a form of debate. I have my point, you try to tear that down, you try to make your point, and we go back and forth like it's a tennis match. It's not, especially when it's with family. So what's the first question that you can ask that can start to peel back the layers of where we might disagree? It's really simple. Start with why. Why do you believe that to be true? Where did you hear that being discussed? Most people are spouting off political talking points without even realizing it. And often what you'll hear is, oh, I just heard a lot of people say it, so it must be true. Or maybe they're a little more honest and, hey, I believe this because of A, B, and C. That sets the groundwork for what you can really talk about beyond the basic talking point that they're repeating to you right now. And it's important to signal to them that you care enough not to reject their point of view out of hand. Before you ask why, you can also say something as simple as, I hear what you're saying, but why do you believe that? Or where did you hear that? Why is such a powerful question. And beginning it with, I hear what you're saying, doesn't give in any points to their point of view. It just says, I recognize you. And in today's loneliness epidemic that we're all facing and navigating, it's so important for people to feel heard. You can still disagree at the end of the day, but you can start with why. Once you get past why, and you're getting to that layer underneath, there's 2 more questions I want you to consider asking. It doesn't matter what topic it is. It doesn't matter what their perspective is. The first one is, what would it take for you to change your mind? Or what would you have to see to change your mind? Most of the time, what people will honestly say when they think about it for a half second is, there's absolutely nothing that you can show me. There's no data. There is no story. There is no counter perspective that will at all change my mind for anything I'm saying here. And to be fair, for some positions you take, that might completely be true, especially if you're going to talk about the extremes. Do you believe in the death penalty? Do you abortion? All the hot button issues. There are people that have their perspectives so ingrained that there is nothing that will change their mind. But it's an important question to ask, and here's why. If the answer is there is nothing that you can tell me or show me or anything like that that will lead me to change my mind, then it's a dead-end conversation already. There is very little you can do to change that person's mind, and they just admit it to it, and you can move on to another topic. It's totally okay. Another question that is similar, but might help take things down a notch is, how would you feel if it happened to you? Particularly as we talk about immigration enforcement and what we want the role of police officers to be and a whole bunch of other things. We always talk about it in our political conversations as though we assume it's happening to someone else. And here's the fundamental truth. If it's happening to someone else, the chances are it can also be happening to us. And that brings things home to a way that most of our political conversations don't. It makes it a little more personal. And people may have a hard time recognizing what it's like for police to target them, or for ICE to get out of a van and harass them because their skin's a little too dark. There's a bunch of things happening nowadays. And oh, by the way, I have plenty of police officers in my family that I really respect. I used to work on an ambulance. The police, many police officers are my genuine friends. I get their perspective of their job is incredibly hard to do. And it's the same question for me. How would I feel if people were saying I was doing my job really terribly? For me, it really reframes the entire conversation around the role we want police or ICE or any of these issues to be less about some ideological stance and more about pragmatic, what works, what's fair for both the police officer who is doing an amazing job each and every day, and the people that the police officer serves, whether they're suspects of a crime or just people that need help. It covers the entire gamut. Bringing things in closer to us personally is a really good grounding way to take things away from the all or nothing stances and bring them into something that's a little more practical. So those are the 3 questions that if you're going to engage, you can ask anyone on any issue at any time. They're great questions to always have in your back pocket. Why are those questions so important? They're important because no matter how educated and intelligent and how much research you've done in political conversations, you can always pull out something you've never heard of. And this leads me to my last point. Even after you already chose to start engaging, you can set your own boundaries. You don't need to keep engaging forever. And in fact, I would argue that most holidays really shouldn't be about political conversations. And so from my time working as a diplomat, I can tell you 2 tricks of changing the topic of conversation. The first one starts with the phrase we already talked about. I hear what you're saying. After that phrase, you can follow it up with, instead of a question, you can follow it up with, hey, I really want to use this holiday season to forget about politics for a while. Do you mind if we change the topic? It works every single time I've ever used it. The second phrase that you should know of just saying, hey, I love you. I disagree. Could we move on to a different topic? Most people are used to duking it out on social media. And if they give an inch, you're going to give a mile. Reminding them that you're family first or that you care about them in ways that doesn't relate at all to politics is important. If you follow these 3 rules for your holiday season, I think you'll be able to navigate political conversations that are going to come up whenever you get family together in a way that's far more productive. So remember, it's first, decide whether you want to engage from the get-go or not, and it's okay if the answer is no. Second, ask questions. Ask why. Why do you believe that? Ask it a few times in a row to get to what's underlying their assumptions and their view of the world. Ask, what would you have to see to change your mind? Ask, how would you feel if this was happening to you? And lastly, it's okay that once you chose to go down that road a little bit to realize, I've had enough. We have to decide where our boundaries are and to communicate them effectively. It's okay to say, I hear you, I disagree, and I really want this holiday season to be more than just about politics. Could we change the topic or just change it yourself? And if all of that fails, you don't have to stay in that conversation. You can leave. It's okay. There is going to be another day to come back to that conversation if you want to. So with that being said, I hope everyone has an amazing holiday season coming up. And don't be afraid to try these things out. It's amazing how many people never get asked a question based on their views. And it's amazing how many people think that everyone else agrees with them because no one asked them a question. So take the opportunity if you feel like it, if you feel up to it, ask a question, engage. At the end of the day, don't lose sight that there is more that connects us than our particular political views in this day and age. Thanks. If you haven't yet, please click like on this video, drop a comment below, and click that subscribe button. It'll help the YouTube algorithm make sure that these videos are getting into your feed. Thank you.